Hello, everyone. Welcome to the YP podcast. Tonight, we're going to be speaking on a very interesting topic titled Unpopular Careers from a Christian Perspective. We have an amazing panel here tonight where we're going to share our experience about our career and how it can benefit you as a listener. So be ready to listen. And our panelists are amazing. And we're all going to go around and have each of our panelists introduce themselves. So, welcome to the YP podcast. I'm so excited to have this group of panelists here. We're going to have an amazing conversation. The first question is, how do you know you're walking in your purpose in relation to your career? And I'm going to have Patrick answer this question.
Thank you so much, Eunice. That's actually funny you brought that to me first, knowing that my merchandise is one of the slogans that we have, which Dr. Obed is very nicely modeling right there, is walking in purpose. It's two ways you could say it: walk in purpose, or you are a walking purpose. And our scripture that we use for that theme is First Peter chapter 2 verse 9, saying that we are chosen generation, peculiar people, a holy nation, um, called, separated from darkness, called out of darkness into God's glorious light. That's really what walking in purpose is. We all have the
Mhm.
same goal. We all came out the same way, and we're all gonna go out the same way. But it's just this one sole purpose that gets the whole body together. We're all here for one goal, that is to, at the end of the day, give God glory and to build His kingdom. But in so many different ways, so many different avenues. And we're about to touch on that, on how all of us have so many different and diverse avenues in our careers, and how we're using that to give God glory. So we're gonna get in touch with more of that, but I want to get the other panelists involved.
How do I know that I'm working in purpose? I know because um, for me, I've always asked myself, what am I here for? What am I doing? I feel like I should walk the earth aimlessly. There's got to be something for me. And I believe in a creator, and I believe that I was made by someone, and that person must have a reason for making me. And so I'm always asking him, God, what is it that you want me to do? Or what is it that I'm called to do? And I always remember God asking, what's in your hands? Like, what do you find yourself doing that comes natural to you? That's your gift. That's something that I have made it possible for you. So for me, that's how I found one, what I'm good at, and then what I can use it to do. And if I do those things, then I believe that God gave it to me. So if I use it, then I'm working in that purpose. I identify that gift or that thing that I'm good at. For me, it's chemistry, and so I use that for my purpose, which is to educate and inspire and teach and all that. So that's how I know.
Yeah, I think you can also, something can be said. I just feel like when it comes to purpose and passion and all those things, I think every single person is brought on this earth with that little fire inside of them for something that some people have found already, some people are going to find tomorrow. Like, it's in every moment that I think there is an innate push towards something that I think all of us have an inclination to. And I think just like reading the Bible, it's that sense of revelation that you get when you find a moment where you're like, this is something that I not only love, but this is something I can use. And then, as take it a step further, being a Christian, this is something I can use for God's glory. This is something I can use to bring disciples to Him. And with me, like, that was dance, and like dance is so physical, and it's so, well, I think for me, I started really young. Like, I always had this, knack for expression. I had a natural inclination to perform. Like, I was the lights, camera, action little girl. Like, I was always making some sort of scenario in my head about something, and I just wanted to express it with my body and with my voice and everything like that. And it starts off as a little hobby. It starts off as like your passion. You love it so much and all these things. And I think what it takes is not just, you finding that understanding of what you love, but other people seeing something in you to kind of also string that out. Like, there were people in my corner, my siblings, my parents, my teachers were like, this girl needs to either go into a dance class or find a way to settle down. Because I feel like I was always had some sort of energy. So it takes people to notify that and like see that in you and string it out of you. And that's just how I know that, like, God is working. He's orchestrating all these things in your life to lead you to a place of using your gift and what you have been given in your hands to bring him glory. And for everybody, it's different. And I just feel like there's a sense of course, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't have all the plans, but there's a sense of peace that comes with knowing that what I'm doing is what I love. And I think that's really powerful.
Great.
I think to piggyback a little on her, as Christians, our life is pretty much supposed to be lived so that God can get the glory through every single situation. So I think that when it comes to purpose, it's just really sitting down and, figuring out what I'm doing, whether in school, career-wise, whatever it is, how is God getting the glory? How is what I'm doing becoming an avenue to even pull people to Christ? So I think that with me per se, that's always something that was in the back of my mind. Like, whatever major that I pick, how will I be able to just bring people to Christ and still do my work and give my money? So I think that that's a very big thing, is just making sure that God is getting the glory, and honestly just praying about it. I think God answers, I know that God answers prayers, and he can do it, through a still voice. He can do it by people. There's different ways that God communicates to us, but I think that really just figuring out what you want to do and submitting it to God, and giving him that avenue to let you know whether that is what you're supposed to do or not. So yeah, that's the little that I would say on that.
Okay, cool. So all right, so I guess I'll answer the question, how do I know that I'm walking in purpose? Unlike Deanna, I cannot dance to save my life. So
It's everyone gets their own thing, and I truly believe it.
Everyone does get their own thing.
Everyone gets their own thing.
I think when God was giving the dancing gift, he just like skipped over me, but that's cool. I'm not angry at him. But one way,
Like, you
one
want to
way,
be a dancer or something.
I do power. Yeah, like
It's like he's mad at God for passing him by.
no, cause I have a lot of dance moves in my head, but when it comes to like actually,
You did.
Are you like a chair? A chair in the chair, I can bust moves.
So for me, how I gauge, that I'm walking in my purpose is that everything that I do on a daily basis is like centered on love, is centered on helping people, and it's centered on sacrifice. So, when I walk into the hospital in the morning, there's only one thing on my mind, which is to help people who are, less who have ended up in the hospital. And the Bible tells us that we should love our neighbors as ourselves. So this is something that like always keeps me going, just being able to interact with people. People share like very deep things about their lives, and other times you hear people's stories and you're actually able to pray with them in their room. You're able to pray with the family members, and just to express that the love of Christ to people. So that's something that I kind of always used to gauge that, hey, maybe this is what God wants me to do.
True.
Direct it.
What do you do? Can you hear me?
Yeah, what you say?
Yeah.
I was asking for you too.
Me.
Yes, please.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's get into the nitty gritty. So for me, I'm a business associate with the 76ers. I actually started working last week with them. I was previously with the team in the Dallas area. I'm from Texas. Well, I'm from New York, but I live in Texas. So what we do is just essentially just reach out to clients, try to foster relationships, garner attention within the community, trying to build relationships with certain clients and big businesses to try and bring them out to games, but also not sell tickets, but sell an experience that they can also reach out to different clients of theirs to use that as leverage to try and bring business for themselves. So that's a big thing of what we do. Try to help them retain such memberships or even upgrade. And that's one thing that I do. So it's really different from a normal job like being in the sports field. It's not something a lot of Ghanaians, especially. You see a lot of Nigerians in the sports field. You see a lot of Cameroonians. You see a lot of Togolese. You see a lot of Liberians, South Africans as well. But you don't see a lot of like Ghanaians in the sports field, which is very concerning because this is also a big business. These are $1 billion companies, $1 billion businesses that we're not even tapping ourselves into. And I want to be that type of person, that trailblazer, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Be like, yeah, you could definitely get into this business and make money. Yeah, that's just who I am. And I love sports, so it's something that resonates with me. So that's why I feel like it's definitely a purpose of mine to be that person. I love being that person that's been the first ever too. The first ever. I like being that type of guy. So I just feel like I'm definitely at home. And even you should have seen me yesterday. I felt like so at peace knowing that like wow. And like I'm coming to
We
games.
saw you on IG.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I have a
What
bachelor
happened?
in NBA. It's like what? That doesn't even make sense. So it's like, yeah, that's me. That's me.
Do you think that a lot of Ghanaians are in that field because they don't know that it's a thing or it exists?
I think once you hear sports, you think that you're the ones playing. So every time
Or do you think that you're the person that's giving like the commentary?
yeah, it's like that's really not what it is. Every time I go to work at home, my dad was like, you're going for a game. You're going for a game. You're going to go. Oh, yo, dad. There's more, and that's what's the funny thing about like this industry. You don't understand how much money goes behind these industries. Like tickets alone, they make about 100 mil a season. A season. That's not including ticketing. That's not including sponsorships, endorsements. That's not including the revenue that they get from TV deals. So we're talking about $1 billion, $1 trillion that we're not even tapping into. So I want to be that person to make my $1 million from this industry.
It's
Amen.
amazing. It is literally amazing. It's amazing when you see like how much people don't understand because they don't know. Like I mean, literally, I prepare myself when I go to a new church or if I'm around Ghanaians or Africans. Obviously, all the time when I go home and like my family, I'm preparing for that question of, I'm sorry, did you say you're a dancer? Or I'm sorry, oh, you dance like for weekends for fun, you know? No, like that's my major.
It's
That's
your career.
that's my job. That's my like when everybody is, of course I do school and stuff like that, but like I'm in the studio every day from 10 to 2. I'm in rehearsal from 7:15 to 9:15. I'm in this class from 4 to 5. Like I'm dancing, I'm creating, I'm choreographing, I'm diversifying my artistry. I'm finding out ways to tell stories in my own authenticity all day. And like that's a job. And everything that we rely on, whether it's sports, because we rely on sports for entertainment, we rely on dance for entertainment, we rely on movies for entertainment. People go to New York City to do what? Go to shows. They see Broadway. They see all these things. The people on those stages are real people getting real money for a real job. Like it's not. It's not. It's not.
please, you
It's
have
not
the.
literal.
And Deanna, with that aspect, I think you and Chris and Patrick touched upon something similar. There seems to be a lack of knowledge on
Yeah.
these types of careers. And this demographic, we're all Africans, we're all children of immigrants or immigrants ourselves. Can anyone speak to why is that the case? That lack of knowledge?
I think that, when was somebody gonna say something?
Go ahead. Go ahead,
Go
Deanna.
ahead.
I think that when our parents first came here, they were thinking of ways to hand go, hand come. Like, I work, I get my money in 2 weeks. It's assured. I think that when you tell a parent that you're doing something like dance, they think, ah, but you have to create your own avenues to make your
Right.
money.
Right.
And I think that it just becomes a worry and an issue for some parents because they don't want to see their kids fail. No parent wants to see,
Right.
their kid go into a career and they're not making, money, living their dreams. And some of our parents are in the back of their heads, they just want us to make the money so that we can retire them and things like that. But I think that it's just it's what they know, like nursing.
Mhm.
Oh, you become a nurse. And I was talking to a nurse that is a Ghanaian that worked on one of the floors that I worked on,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how when our parents came, they started doing STNA and then like being aides. And then they saw that, oh, these nurses are making a little bit more than what we are making. So they felt like that's what, they should do. So then obviously when they have kids, that's what they know. So they're going to encourage their kids to go into that field.
Hmm.
But funny enough, I was just having a conversation with my mom, telling her about my major. And she's like, but all the people that I know that does that, they do it on the side. And I don't know where this came from. I really feel like the Holy Spirit just took over my mouth and I told her that. But I'm trusting in God to be that one person that even if everybody else in that industry is not making
Amen.
it, something is going on with the economics and money is down, whatever is happening, I will be that person to still sell my house, decorate my house, and still get money. Like, I'm trusting in God to do that. And sometimes I feel like once you kind of, go in God and faith and stuff, your parents really are just like, let's test him and see. Because,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
a lot of the times, like, I'm so sorry, Janet. Did
No,
you
you're
want to?
fine. No. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
I'm done.
I'm sorry. I just going off with that. A lot of the times, like, they just haven't seen it. Like, my mom had my mom and my parents were very like, when I started taking ballet classes, like, everybody was doing. I have four sisters, so I have three sisters, so we all went to the ballet class and we took class, and there's so many of us. We were gone for an hour. She had time, and like, she's seeing, and these rooms are filled with white dancers because it was just very predominantly white field.
Field.
Yeah.
The thing is, you don't have the representation. They can't see that. Oh, my kid can't do this because clearly there's nobody who looks like her in this class to show that she'd be able to
Hmm.
do it. But when I started going to the classes, I remember I stopped when I was 8 because we just didn't sign up. I remember I found this book in our basement. It was like all the ballet positions, and I was doing them, and I was like, oh, like I love this. This is like I
Hmm.
want to try this. I was on YouTube for hours. I was searching up like how to do this and how to do a split and how to do a pirouette and all that stuff like that. And I was learning. My mom was like, clearly, you need to go back to class. So this was the beginning. They're thinking I'm doing this after school. I'll be done.
Hmm.
But as I continue with the training, and then and so they saw me doing shows, and they could see that even though she doesn't look like everybody, she has an understanding of what she's doing, and she's expressing herself out there,
Hmm.
and she's not bad at it. And my teachers are also advocating for me. They're like, oh,
Hmm.
she can do this if she puts in her time. And it's
Hmm.
like they need that moment of not I don't want to say revelation, but that moment of explanation of like, look, you can see her doing this. They see you, they see your work. Like Yvonne, like if your mom sees the work that you do, your projects, things that you're prepping for, then she gets an understanding that this is actual work going behind what her desire is.
Hmm.
parents had to see, like when I was in high school and I was still dancing and I was like, I might do this after. My parents were like, okay, but you're also good at it and you have a shot at making it. You know what I mean? So they were more than open, and they understood that there's no use in putting me in something that I'm gonna hate and then
all your life.
all my life and be worse off for.
Yeah, I think our parents are so used to one way of making money, one way of making it in life, because where we come from, opportunities are very limited. So sometimes if you're a rich person's kid, that's when your dad will put you in a company and all that. The poor man's kid can go to school and become a medical doctor and be somebody, somebody in the community. They're used to that. They're not some of them are not exposed to the other side of life, and now we're in a different place. It's bigger, opportunities are more, there's different ways of making money. They want us to make money, but they're so worried how are you going to make the money, how are you going to make the money.
Don't worry about it, sweetheart.
Don't worry about it.
Which is a valid question.
Exactly.
I have found
That you can stay at home on YouTube and make millions of dollars.
No, for real.
Honestly.
You know what's funny? My parents actually
just post baby pictures and make 700,000 in brand.
crazy.
Okay.
Like they don't understand.
Somebody is washing dishes
used
and
to
making
one
money.
way, and those jobs, honestly, they're 9 to 5. 9 to 5 can only make you so much.
Right.
Just don't know this. And now more and more, I think when we have people who are proven that mommy, you can do something else and still be rich. I can still take care of you, mommy. Don't worry.
True.
Yeah.
I think when we get more and more people taking the alternative route, being the first at something and being successful at it, then they become believers. So I think it's up to us, the immigrant children, to do those new things. Like me, I was the only person doing chemistry in my friends. Like, what I'm going to do with chemistry? I'm like, I'm not going to be a medical doctor. I'm going to do research. Like, where are you going to get a job? And all this opposition. When I was a PhD, I felt so lonely. Like, I didn't know any guy who's doing PhD in chemistry. Like, where are they? I didn't meet them. And so it was a lonely journey, but I knew what I was going in for. I know what the goal was, and I was so focused. And so when we come out successful, then now they're like, oh, so they'll see out who's dancing and making money, and then they'll start to believe. So I think we need to break barriers. We need to be out there, and then they'll start believing that you can actually do something else and be successful. They're just used to the old ways. They'll catch up though.
Yeah, they will. They will catch up.
Amen.
And I think, Patrick, you're about to say something earlier. Okay, then go ahead, Yvonne.
I was gonna say that funny enough too, I was watching a video. It was like a interview of this lady. She's on YouTube. Her name is Sweet Ajele, and she like cooks.
Oh, I know her.
And she was talking about how in Ghana there's this stigma that people that major in like home economics, arts, and stuff like that, no wabon, like you're not academically smart, right? So I think that that's also another issue, is that them not wanting their friends to think that, oh, their child is not the smartest because they're a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. And it's quite funny because she was talking about how like in their school, in their hall, the home economics people are all the way, like their classes are all the way in the back. You don't even see them. You see the doctors and the lawyers and those people before you see them. So I think that's another thing too, is just like them thinking that if you're not majoring in something like that, you're not smart.
That was a big thing. Like when I was in high school, I mean, I got the grades. Like I could have easily gone somewhere. Like I could have done science. I could have gone on the medical school track, and my parents knew that. Like I did very well in school because I also didn't want to give them a reason why I shouldn't keep dancing.
Yeah.
So I did. I mean, I also did well. Like I feel like I have an academic side to me that I really love about learning, but it's also, you know, a question of where do you enjoy? Where are you going to shine the most? And I think like our parents don't understand that there are different ways of shining, and if we're all doctors, how can we be that person for someone else coming up? Like and doctor, I don't want to use doctor as like a negative thing, because it's not, but it's that's just a very common thing that we've all been pushed to. My dad is a pharmacist, and there was a whole understanding that, oh, maybe we'll all be pharmacists. I was never going to be a pharmacist. I'm not going to be one. Like, and that you can say that. Yeah.
So I know here on this panel, we all have a little bit of untraditional careers compared to, you know, the community that we come from, except for Dr. Obed. I'd like to hear
MD,
from the
making the
doctor. What was your journey of it when it came to saying, you know,
We
I'm
have
going to
filled our
medical school and I'm going to go on this track?
proud.
Yeah. So I feel.
Eunice, could you repeat your question?
Go ahead.
Oh, I feel attacked. First of all,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
We're so sorry. We didn't mean to.
Yeah, I'm not sorry.
And would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
So the question is, so on this panel, most of us have a bit of untraditional careers. When you look at our community and the type of jobs that we get, for most immigrant communities, the medical school path is pushed on. The lawyer path is really pushed upon. So you having that traditional career path, can you tell us how it's been like? What was the support like? Was it tremendous because you were going on this path? Just share a little bit about your experience.
Father bragging about you all the time.
What?
My son is a medical doctor.
Oh, please.
So you're telling us you don't get that at all? You don't get that?
That is a great question, but I wanted to be a chef, actually.
Hey,
what?
I'm kidding.
Hey,
I'm kidding.
wait a minute.
So like,
Oh my goodness.
for me, I was never like pressured into choosing medicine, but my path to medicine was, it wasn't like clear cut, because I initially wanted to just do research, get my PhD, and then like teach, because I love teaching and I love science. I just love the medical knowledge. So I actually just started doing research in a lab in high school. But then, when I went to college, I started doing some more research, and I was like, I don't even want to like be in the lab 24/7 and not having engagement with people. Sorry, Dr. Janet, but
Don't come for us.
So sorry.
We will come back for you.
So after, like, during college, that is when like I truly decided to go to the medicine route. But I never like heard my dad or mom say, oh, hey, you have to go to med school, you have to pick medicine or do what. And I'm grateful that I never got that experience, because I have friends who've been like pushed into med school and they've quit like halfway through. Actually, during med school, one of my friends was telling me that he's from Nigeria, and his dad kind of pressured him to go to med school. So after he finished med school, he kind of went overseas to Dubai, and there he applied for a job to be a chef. So one day the dad called him and he was like, hey, I haven't heard from you in a while. Where are you? And he was like, hey, I'm in Dubai, pursuing my dreams. So I think there are times that the children are put at a disadvantage because they're just pushed into doing something that is honestly the parents' desires, and not the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So can I add to that? Like just recently started. I'm at the point where, teaching chemistry, right? All these pre-meds will take my course. They will take Gen Chem, they will take OChem. And I'm at the point where I'm like, enough. Parents are pushing kids into my classroom and they don't belong there. And
Mm-hmm.
they're struggling and it's just painful sometimes to watch the struggle. Like I can't
Mm-hmm.
even stand to see it. So now I've taken it upon myself to go and tell these parents that, listen, before you send your child on this journey, first of all, are we helping these children to even discover who? Parents will never involve you. Some parents will never involve you in the conversation. What are you good at? What do you love? What are you trying to do? They don't
Mm-hmm.
do any of these things. They don't know your academics. They don't look at the pattern of your high school scores and see which courses you're getting A's in and B's, and before you go and pick these kind of majors for your children. And sometimes it's just not a good fit. And the
Mm-hmm.
kids start freshman year because their parent want them to be a doctor and
Mm-hmm.
taking chemistry, and will, excuse me, say fail miserably, ruin their GPA, and then it's
Mm.
just like ripple effect, and
Mm-hmm.
it's frustrated. I'm in a school, I'm not passing. It's a whole lot of mess. So I'm like, parents, so now I said I'll go to church and just tell these African parents that let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
Let's start by caring about these kids. Let's
Yeah.
start spending time doing homework. Let's start by putting them in the right schools to prepare them for these dream careers that we are choosing for them. Because if you don't set them up well, their pre-med classmates, they've been studying books since they were 6. There are kids who
Mm.
come to my class, they already know Gen Chem. They
Wow.
they already have passed the Gen Chem before they stepped into my class.
Mm-hmm.
You are teacher and they are sitting there like this. They won't even take notes. They'll get 99. You can stretch the question like a genge. You can be a high of like they,
Mm-hmm.
because they are prepared, they are armed, they are ready. That's your competition. That's
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
who you are standing against. So if
Mm-hmm.
you come, your background is not good and all that, it becomes very, very frustrating. So
Mm-hmm.
I know that our parents sometimes they don't know even the number of courses you have to take to even become
Yeah.
a doctor, they or nurse or any profession. So I think we need to tell them from the beginning that,
Mm-hmm.
mommy, daddy, this is the process. This is how you get there. So please put them in the right schools, give them the right tutors, find classes teacher for them,
Mm-hmm.
prepare yourself. Like
Yeah.
if you really want this career, then you have to be there on top of
Mm-hmm.
your for your child, because your child may not make it to medical
Yeah.
school even.
For the person that's watching this and perhaps their parents are pushing them towards a career that they are not interested in, how do you all suggest they advocate for themselves? And I know, Dr. Janet, you touched upon it a little bit more, but I'd like to also go around the room and see if anyone would like to add to it. So how does someone advocate for themselves?
Um, I think that um, hmm, having conversation, as Dr. J said, is very important. I think that some of us, we are so used to coming from an African home where when your mom says one, please do not try to say one or two. Like, just go with the flow. And so I think that sometimes we don't even say, like, oh, I don't think I want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also think that we're lacking knowledge too, because there are so many majors that I didn't even know existed until I took the time to go on my school's website and just Google up what majors they have. These people have like agriculture,
Right.
theater, set design. Like, there are
Wait,
things that I didn't even know was a major, and it is. So I
every
think that for anyone that's watching that is kind of struggling with that, just sit your parents down and honestly have the conversation of you know maybe this is not what I want to do. Maybe I think that I'm good at this, and do your research, and obviously pray about it. But really, really just do your research. Do maximum research so that, you know, it can be like a friendly, respectful debate. You know, they ask a question, you can answer. Because if your parents are asking you questions and you can't answer, and they end up cornering you,
Uh,
you will end up
Mhm.
become a mess. So yeah, I think that's one thing too.
Good,
Mhm.
Yvonne.
Being,
Very
sorry.
go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
And then being able to, I love that, Yvonne, coming with the research that you've done, because it's one thing to be like, oh, I really, really want to do this, and they're like, okay, how do you make a living at it? Which is a very valid question, because you
yeah.
also think about as immigrant children, like they didn't come here for nothing, and the sacrifices our parents made were wonderful. And I'm not saying like from a mental health perspective, don't try to put all that on your shoulders because then you can't really go anywhere. But that's a side conversation for another time. But I feel like there is a valid question and a valid place that comes from of how will you make a living, and if you come with that drive that you have, because I really do believe if you feel like it's something that is very much that you just need to do, whether it's music or marketing or dance or whatever it is, interior design, you come with like, here is a list of people that have done it, that have gone through it. Here's someone that I really look up to. Maybe there's some people of color in there too, so that your parents can see that it's a very accessible art
Tell them
form.
money.
and
Tell
and
them
and like
Money.
going through and being like, this is a salary of a dancer in a ballet company. This is a salary
yep.
of a dancer on Broadway. This is a salary of a dancer in this TV show. Like or this is a salary of this actor, or this is a salary of this person. You make realistic examples that you can show your parents. And I love the term advocating for yourself, because it's very easy for us to all just kind of submit and go. But there is a way to walk, and I feel very fortunate that with my parents and my like family, my mom has always been so open for communication, because I think all my siblings and I all have some sort of character. We all had something we were leaning towards. Like my older
Mhm.
sister, she was so good with her hands. Like she was played so good with piano. She draws beautifully. She does all these things, and they just knew that she was going to be some sort of crafter in some way, whether that was in the medical field, whether that was an artist, whether it was all.
Mhm.
And they put her in piano lessons. They put her in this because they
Mhm.
saw that. They talked to her. What is it that you love to do? If she
Yeah.
didn't latch on to it, if she didn't come with examples, she didn't continue on with it, because that drive wasn't there for her personally. But if your drive is there, you also have to pull your weight after your parents
Mhm.
see the drive that you have for the thing that you're doing.
Mhm.
And one thing I want to add to what everybody just said, just to sum it all up. African parents, well, specifically Ghanaian parents, they love when we have like our stuff in order. Like
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
we show them that these are the steps that I'm willing to take. They don't like laziness. That's the number one thing that will stop them from agreeing with your process.
It's true.
If
Preach.
you are home and just sitting there saying, "Yeah, I got it," they will get
Right.
they will not believe that. If
Yeah.
you have somebody that has it planned out and ready to show them and to give you like what it will take for me to get there, the steps that I'm doing, seeing that you're actually like making moves, you're on the phone with recruiters, you're talking to mentees, going to career fairs and things like that. That shows them that like you're actually about your business. And
Yeah.
that's what Ghanaian parents love the most. They see that you're a go-getter. If you
Yes.
show them you're a go-getter, they will
They will leave you alone.
Yeah.
they'll
And
change
that would be the thing that they brag about you to other people.
exactly.
Yes. My
Girl.
son, my daughter.
Yeah.
They
They'll be like,
love
my
that.
daughter, oh my gosh, you don't know what she's doing because she's doing something unique, but she gonna get what she's going, what
He's gonna get yo.
because
I
she's
couldn't
driven.
oh my goodness, you guys, that's why you're doing different things. It takes that mindset. It takes
Mhm.
that hard work. What I can't stand either is the youth when they say, I don't want to be a nurse. Then you ask them, what do you want to be?
I don't
No.
know.
I'm
Think about it.
excuse me. That's why your dad said you should be a doctor.
Yeah.
It's,
And
it's,
it's
You know
okay if it comes later.
what you want to do. What should, how my, no. No. That's not good either, because you make your parents, they fear, they're afraid. They can
yeah.
Yeah.
head
They
down.
love assurance.
Yeah.
Ghanaians, they
Give them
love
assurance.
like if you keep them up there, be like, ma, like and
Look
you
up for
sweeten
you.
it up a little bit for them. If you sweeten it just a tad bit, and just you show your smile, they'll be like, yeah, that's what That's what they want to see. They want to see that energy coming out of you and whatever
Yes,
you're doing.
yes.
Like my dad would come home from work and he would
Yeah.
open my door. I remember when I was in high school and I was still living at home.
Mhm.
He opened the door and my homework is done on the side. I am on the floor stretching.
Yeah.
I am, because it's not for show. Again, you have to always, the question, I think there's something really important. I think we'll touch on it later, so I don't want to talk about it too much now, but like, you don't, like, it's not for show. You're not doing this for your parents. That's another thing. You're not doing this for anybody. You're doing this for you, and essentially, and also you're doing it for God only, period. But like, you're not doing it for anybody. I was stretching in my room because I had, oh my gosh, if my family's watching this, I had posters on posters of dancers in my room, on the walls, everywhere, of all these dancers. Michaela de Prince, she was this dancer from Sierra Leone that was adopted by this white family who went to ballet. She's a phenomenal dancer. You see, I have her poster on my wall. I have Julian Murphy on my wall. I have Misty Copeland.
Yes.
And I'm doing splits. I'm stretching my leg because I got to get my leg up, because the girl in my class, her leg is up. I want my leg to be up. And I'm working. And my parents, when they would come home, they saw me working. They saw how much I wanted it. And I genuinely, that fear of I'm not doing what my parents wanted is not there in me anymore, because I know that my parents they are proud of the work, that how far I have come. Like my mom is so excited for my graduation because she's like, you have taken from the beginning and you're seeing it through, and that says so much
so
more.
beautiful.
Yeah, so much more going to feel that you didn't want to be in.
I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's it. That's the attitude you need to go on the route. That's the attitude you need to break grounds that haven't been broken. And that's telling younger ones is that when I wanted to do chemistry and do PhD, I knew no one in my family who's done that. Like nobody has walked that journey.
Yeah.
But I am the type, I don't mind knocking on somebody's door.
Yeah.
And my parents haven't done it, doesn't mean somebody's parents have
Yeah.
done. I don't care who you are. I'm on LinkedIn. Like I inbox, I knock on doors, I go and ask, what do you do?
Wow.
How do you do it? Like you have to ask, because you don't know. I didn't know, but I want to do it. So there are people who've done it. I was in my professor's office asking them how you became a professor. Like you don't have to. It's not your parents' fault sometimes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
to really prove that, Daddy, I can do this. My sister wanted me to be a medical doctor, but when she realized that I was so passionate about my research and going, she was like, I give you my blessing. I know you'll be good at it. Never even asked, hey, what are you doing? She knows me, I'll find a job. She knows that wherever I will go to get a job, I will go. I don't care. I will go. I'll submit my resume 10 times. I do now. Like, so
And honestly, when you have that passion and you know your purpose and you understand who you are, your identity, your gifts will take you before kings, you know. And the survival verse is from Proverbs 18, verse 16. And it talks about, you know, the gift opens the way and ushers the giver into the presence of the great. And so in all these gifts that God has given to us, you know, if we truly realize that gift and walk in that gift and actualize that gift, great doors will be open to us. So for those who are unsure about walking in a traditional path, even if it is traditional, you can be exceptional in your particular career. And so that there is that open to you. So with that said, I'd like to shift the conversation a little bit. It's something that we have touched briefly through conversation, and I want to talk a little bit about money in connection to our career. So I guess what we can do is also go around the room, if you guys feel comfortable. Just talk a little bit about, on average, what does someone in your industry make? And in addition, should money and job security be very influential in making your career decision? So let's talk about money.
This one, SK, hey, Ocho, end this one. Make sure that SK cannot listen to this one.
And we're giving averages. You don't come and tell your salary. Just give average of what someone who is doing great can make in your industry.
No, honestly, I guess I could start. just to break, because the sports level is a very weird, it's a very weird and different way of looking at things. It depends on where avenue you're taking. So if you want to get into the basketball side, which is the place where I'm trying to get to, the basketball operations, people in basketball ops can make about from 100K to almost 5K. I mean, no, 100K to 5 mil. Those
Oh,
are
whoa.
the kinds of jobs that I'm trying
Wow.
to get into.
Mhm.
At my point, there's actually one African. He actually works for the Toronto team. He's the president there, and he works on basketball ops and everything basketball for them. And he makes about 10 million. He's actually the best there is in the business, and he makes 10 mil. And on average, the people who work his job make almost 5 mil per year. That's just
What's the job called so I can tell my future?
no, honestly, no. President of basketball operations. President of basketball
Wow.
operations. That's literally
Okay,
what it is.
thank you for
You can make that all the way coming down to almost 50K base level for somebody who does like inside ticket sales. You
right.
know, as for me, I'm doing business operations, so I do also retention forms and things like servicing. So with getting in touch with people of past memberships who came out to games and also want to build relationships with different clients and things like that. So that's what I do. So that could be from 50K base, but if you add on to what I'm talking about,
Okay.
when you talking about commission, you could actually make almost 60K for one season in commission if you do it right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's just if you put your hard work into it. That's you could make 60K just commission alone. And then it comes to overtime. Also, overtime is also part of it. And games is not even part of working games is not part of that base level job. So adding all those hours together plus commission, you're looking at almost 100K, 110K
Wow.
if you do the job right.
If you put in the hard work.
Yeah. So and then the question. Let me
The
finish
question was, should this influence your decision
this
making?
influence my
Money.
decision. When it's I have a very taboo take on this thing because I always give this analogy about a janitor who feels like being a janitor is his purpose. When you see a janitor that like really loves what he's doing and he knows that he wants to like do this, if you see like a janitor who is smiling all the time, just go back to your high school days, seeing that janitor that was always around, walking around, smiling, just feeling the best, talking to him, always having those memories of him just walking around, seeing how people were doing. He probably was making what 10K, 15K a year, but he was so
On you.
in his job. He said, "What?
Janitors make money.
Janitors make money. Well,
Like,
like
give him 30K, 30K.
30K. Okay, yeah, 30K. They love their job. They love what they're doing, but they know that it's like they know why they're here. They want to see like something out of what they're doing. And I just feel like I don't see why money should be like the end all be all because at the end of the day, you wanna get somewhere. You know like the purpose once again is going back to purpose. You know why you're being placed at this position. You know why you feel led to be in such an industry. And it's just you're not gonna feel content with where you're at, especially when you're in your purpose. When you're in your purpose, you always you feel like at ease, but at the same time, you know that where you're really going is a higher goal. So I just feel like whenever you're in your purpose, you always have that extra oomph to get to that point,
Yeah,
to get
that drives you.
yeah to strive you. So you will never feel like lazy when you're in your purpose. You feel it's like for instance, if I was in dentistry, I mean, I'll just get to the lowest level and I'll just be there. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
get higher up. I wouldn't want to go to a deeper level. If me being in this position that I am, I know where I want to go and where I want to strive, and that's what's leading me to where I am today.
Yep. So for professors, it ranges as well. We have adjunct professors, we have full-time professors, we have associate professors, assistant professors, full professors. So it ranges. So you can be in the five figures, 50,000 there, all the way to 500,000 and
Mhm.
more, depending where 500 500K a year, depending what level you are. It varies a lot. But I would say on average, professors are in the six-figure range, or
Mhm.
most of them, or like slightly. Even if they're in five-figure, they're around 90K, 80K
Mhm.
if they're starting. Uh,
Mhm. Which
so
is pretty good.
yeah, if they're starting 90K, 80K, depending on your institution as well. So it's a lot of factors where you work
Mhm.
also influences your salary. But it's a good field that if you're passionate about it, you always want to reach for the top. My ultimate goal, I love teaching, but I don't want to stay there. I want to be in leadership one day so that's I want to be the top. I want to be a president of a university.
That okay.
There
It's
we
yours.
go.
Okay, Dr.
There we
Janet.
go.
President.
There we
Oh
President.
go.
God! But if you get to president,
Okay.
amen. If you get to spend $1 million, easy.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah, like salary, just salary.
Wow.
But it depends on the school. Like Drake, the president that was president of Ohio State when I was graduating, he was making $1 million. He was a black man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So
That's what I
Well,
like to
impressed.
hear.
so deans make more. Some deans make 600,000, 700,000. Yeah, deans make more. Presidents make even higher. So
Mhm.
of course, you don't want to be a
That's
faculty forever.
experience.
If you hear that your dean is making 600,000, you're in the 90,000 range. I want to
Mhm.
be the dean. Why not? You always
Mhm.
have to push. You always have to push.
Yeah, that's right. Achieve more.
And should money influence you? For me, I like money, so I won't choose a career that doesn't pay me good money. So
Mhm.
whatever, even if I start low, I want to push the boundaries to get a salary that is good. Because your African parents, they want you to buy a car, they want you to buy them a house, they want you to build the mansions in Ghana. You need money. So I have to look. I have to consider the career that it will pay. I want to be in six-figure baseline. So
Mhm.
you have to think about that.
Yeah. Does anyone also want to respond to this question?
Uh,
I was. Oh my gosh, you go, Obed. I've been doing that so
no,
many
no,
times.
No,
no,
Oba
no,
doesn't speak.
no,
This one,
no,
yeah, Oba doesn't need to speak.
Okay,
no, Deanna, go
Doc
ahead.
Obed,
No,
speak.
Oba
No,
has
Obed,
speak.
please say what you need to say.
Come and
um,
talk to us.
I'll tell you what he makes. He makes 3 million.
um, so I mean, I would say that like being a doctor does guarantee you a sufficient amount of salary. Okay, but I would say that is an investment, right? Because most people that go to med school do take out loans, and after med school you have to pay off these loans. So as a doctor, it depends on like what specialty you go into. So right now, what I'm doing is internal medicine. So on average, the internal medicine docs, they do make six figures. And if you want to sub specialize, it also takes you higher. But I mean, money is good, but I've seen a lot of doctors that are miserable. Okay,
Mhm.
they come to work depressed. They come to work anxious. They come to work angry. They come to work like just wanting to kill themselves. And I've seen a lot of marriages break down because people are not satisfied with what
Mhm.
they're doing because they made money their ultimate goal.
Mm.
So even though you're gonna be living a good life. You're gonna have that house. You're gonna have that car. But if you don't take care and you make that money your ultimate goal, you might not be satisfied with life, and ultimately you might not be walking in your purpose after all. And I think like Dr. Janet Entry was saying, she's trying to be a president of a college. Me, for instance, I'm trying to be a CMO, which is like a chief medical officer. because
Mm.
I feel like when you're in a leadership role, you're able to make changes that impact your community. Like if you live in an area where there's predominantly, black, or like you see that the African Americans are not getting the care they need. As a regular doctor, you don't even have much say. But once you start to get into the C-suite, once you start getting into that leadership
He's
roles, you're you're
Executive.
you're yes, you're able to make decisions that impact the hospital and ultimately the community. So as you get up there, your money also goes up. But on average, an internal medicine doctor makes about 250K. If you sub specialize, you're looking at like 600, 700,000, and then it's like up from there.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing those
about to
insights.
switch my career.
Yeah, I'm truly I really respect you, Obed, a lot, because I feel like that is so true. Like I do believe in the principle of to whom much is given, much is required. Like we
Yeah.
look at these doctors and what they're doing and the money they're making, but like the emotional side of being in charge of trying to save of someone's life in your hands, that is something that takes somebody who is passionate about it and not necessarily about the outcome that it brings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something you should be very much commended for and
Mm-hmm.
proud of, because it's just good to know and ask yourself every day, like, is this really what I love? And if the answer is no, then life is not life is open to you. You can
Yeah.
change what you want, and I think it's just really admirable. But when okay, so I'll start by saying this has been kind of lengthy because there's a lot of things you can do in the arts. I'll start by saying that I do not think this country, Europe is actually a different story. Europe very much prioritizes its artists. America, the U.S. on the other hand, not so much. And I definitely will say, yeah, for the most part, people usually don't go into this for the money. It is literally for I think there's the passion for it. There is money involved, and I am very, very dead set on making money, and I really believe. I think a big part of this, especially as a Christian and as an immigrant, and all the things that make me Deanna and all the things like that, I do believe that God plays a big, big part in where He takes me in this, because I don't think He's taken me in this to struggle, and I do not want to adopt that mentality of I'm going to be a starving artist in New York City. No, that's not me. And I think a lot of times we adopt that mindset in this field, especially at school. I go to an art school. There's only 5 schools of study here: dance, drama, music, design and production, and film. Of course, you can make a lot of them. The prices range. I mean, you can make so much money in film. You can make so much money in DMP, design and production. But a lot of performing artists, actors, dancers, musicians. Funny enough, like I said before, a lot of the things that we rely on in our everyday entertainment don't get a lot of the recognition they need unless you're like super uber famous and stuff like that. But I'll start there. But like I said, I proudly stand here and say that I have faith that God can take me to heights that that will open doors to money, because taking through
Amen.
is
Amen.
taking.
Amen.
I really do feel like I have something to bring to the table that has not been seen before. But again, side note. But when it comes to numbers, okay, it's actually really not that bad. There are ballet companies. If we're talking about concert dance, now concert dance is when you see like a ballet company where it's a group of about maybe 20 to 30 dancers, and they're in a company. Let's say, example, Atlanta Ballet. They're in a company and they have rep. They work in that building, the studios, and they work on seasonal rep. And they'll rehearse a piece. A choreographer might come in. They might do a choreographer from where they are. There's an artistic director. You have the dancers, and you have like other like marketing people on the outside. But really, that's just the company. And they'll perform. So Atlanta Ballet performs usually at the Fox Theater. They'll do a season there. They'll do the Nutcracker in the winter. And in the spring, they'll come and probably do like Romeo and Juliet, or this new neoclassical work like a Balanchine piece, or I'm blanking. There's so many works, and people are always creating. I mean, literally, there are artists everywhere, and it's a beautiful thing because something new is always being made. But anyway, so a dancer in that company, especially starting out, it's not too like, I mean, 30, like maybe a like a corps de ballet member, which is someone starting up, or an apprentice in a company. It's like $30,000. It's not a lot, and a lot of the times you have to get a second job. Some people get yoga certified or Pilates certified, so you're able to do that. And then also another thing I want to point out: you are not one thing. Like I'm not just a dancer, and there's so many things in my toolbox of abilities that I can bring to the table to monetize myself.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like I have my major, like my degrees in a BFA in classical ballet, but I also have a minor in arts entrepreneurship. I know that for myself, I really have dreams of being some sort of like platform, like content creator type thing. Because I also
Yeah.
think there are ways of me sharing my story and sharing what it means to be a Black performing artist in right now. Like, what does it mean? What does stage makeup look like for someone with darker skin? You're able to show those things through your platform, maybe
Mm-hmm.
even a brand, maybe even starting all these things. There are ways to monetize yourself,
Yeah, there is.
your thing. Um, and so that's classical dance. That's also including contemporary ballet. And as you go up the ranks, it can be like 60, 50K. Like it gets up higher as you go through the ranks of a company, contemporary ballet company, all this stuff like that. Then you have like Broadway. Broadway is more commercial and commercial dance. That's a lot more money because we're going up like the film industry, and that's where more people are, because the audiences of concert dance places are a little less because not everybody really knows much about ballet companies. Like, I mean, this is probably the first time of you hearing that ballet companies were all over the U.S. Like, right now, my audition process of going out and interviewing for a job is I'm sending out videos of myself dancing and seeing who gets it, and auditioning for these companies, getting invited to dance there to see if they like me, all that stuff like that. Um, so there's that. But now I said that going into like commercial and like Broadway stuff like that, your income increases because and I oh with this, like with Broadway, you can make 100K like in a year because you're in this. Let's say you're in the Lion King, like you're in a very consistent show that a lot of people come to. You can be making six figures as a salary because you're performing 8 shows a week. 8 shows a week. They're a lot of money. I think there's one show that I'm auditioning for. It's a tour, and you get like $2,000, 2,000 something a week, leading
Wow.
for a single person myself. Like I could easily save up to 100K after that whole year of touring with
Mm-hmm.
that show. Um, so, but yeah, that's kind of just like, but it can be low. 30,000, like, not a lot of money, but as you go up the ranks, it's like Jeanette was saying, like, as you go up the ranks and strive for more, you can make,
Yes.
and you can also get multiple streams of income to be a comfortable and successful and wealthy person.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'll say.
Yeah. And one thing before we pass it over to Yvonne, I do like how you said that you are more than a dancer,
Oh
and
yeah.
there are ways of monetizing your craft. And we see that here in the digital age, people are doing that all across the world. And so there is opportunities, even for us in our different careers in health, tech, art, in the sports industry. We can definitely do that. So that's Yvonne. I'll pass it over to you to also quickly speak on this question.
Okay, so for the real estate agents, I'll focus on that. It's commission based. So you, depending on how much you sell the house, you get like a percentage. So you can make anywhere from like 270,000 to a million to even a billion, depending on where you are. For those of you watching that watch things like Selling Tampa and stuff, they make money. Like they make the money. So yeah, it's commission based. To answer the question of, I think it was, should money be like your first thought when you're picking your,
Yeah, it should be a consideration when you are making your career choice.
hmm, I'm probably gonna give the unpopular opinion, but I would say no. And the
Mm.
reason that
Shouldn't
is.
be the start. I
Yeah,
agree.
it shouldn't be your first thought, because if that's your first thought, you're going to end up doing something that you don't really love. I think the first thought should be, what do I like to do? What
Right.
can I easily do? People say, what can I do in my sleep? Literally, what can you do at any chance, any like time of the day? What are you really good at? And then find ways to make money out of that. We're talking about multiple streams of income. There's people that do hair, and I'm pretty sure they are making thousands of dollars. Like, I feel like money should not be the first thing. You should figure out what you want to do and then find ways to monetize that. Find ways to, make your money. But yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I
that's your
said I
thought
like
on
money. Let me clarify before somebody uses
it.
that
Yeah,
and
go
twist
ahead. Go
it.
ahead, Dr.
I
Janet.
like money, but don't twist my words. So I agree. You shouldn't start there. Like teachers, people say teachers don't make money. Like that's the knowledge out there. Teachers don't make money. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, because I want to be like the top teacher, like I want to be a professor, and start there. So find your passion. That one there, no debate. You have to do something that you love doing. Otherwise, you get halfway. You can't make it all the way. So please, passion is important and purpose and all that is important. But once you find that thing, the star is your limit. You're good at this thing. Why
Yeah.
would you want to settle for being the lowest paid person in
Right.
this field that you love? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I meant by I love money. So if
Yeah.
I find my passion, I want to make the most money
Yes.
with it. I
absolutely.
Yeah.
want to maximize it all the way to the top. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I meant.
And I think with what Dr. Janet has said, in any field that you go into, whether it be non-traditional or traditional, once you are passionate about what you're doing, you're walking in your purpose. That's what you need first, and from there, money will come. In this life,
Yes.
there's money. There's
Yes.
There
really
is
money in this
plenty
world
money.
to be made.
I just
There are
started. I
people
just
on,
Oh,
yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I started a coaching business because
Mm.
I love what I do. I realize that people don't know how to do school. I live in the school 24/7. That's where I live. I know how to do it. And so now I want to help people go to college and do it well. I cannot
Mm-hmm.
stand people switch majors. I cannot stand people do college halfway. I cannot stand people doing college without a purpose or a job in mind. I can't stand any of that. So I decided I'm going to fix it. And I'm going to fix it. So birth a business. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just ready to launch that and do that as well. So the sky's the limit.
It
I
truly
really,
is.
I really noticed that there's money in this world.
Hmm.
Well,
There
not
is.
in Century Street when people spend $100,000 on memberships and tickets to just watch people shoot a basketball in a.
Hmm. Of course.
There's
Literally,
money.
When,
yo,
once you put it that way, it's
People
like,
have to love
yo,
money. Money.
people like
And
you
people will
pick up
give
the
you
phone
money.
and talk to them and be like, yeah, so we want you to upgrade to this package. Be like, okay, take my credit card. It's gonna be
Mhm.
100,000. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Just take my credit card,
Wow.
and you get commission from that. Off of just that one thing, you're getting 10,000 because in my thing it's 10%. It's 10% commission.
Wow.
Just off of that, that's just one thing in the day. You can make 10K.
yeah.
Think about it, guys. Think about it.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Think
thinking about
about
it.
No,
it.
I mean,
it's
I thought
definitely
about
food for
it.
thought.
Think
It's
about it.
definitely food
In
for
my
thought.
head.
Money is good, you guys.
Mhm. And
It is.
honestly, one thing I'll actually like to bring up is when it comes to the topic of money, it's one topic the Bible speaks about the most. So if you look at the
Yeah.
Bible, you're going to see so many instances of where the Bible is talking about money. So if money is so important to God, it should also be important to us. And
Mm.
so, not saying to go chase money, but use discernment when it comes to money, use wisdom when it comes to money. We're all Christians here, and for those watching, the audience is most likely Christian. But to do kingdom business, we need to do money. For the word of God to expand, we need money.
Yeah.
And
So your
so
tithe
people
can
in the
go up.
kingdom of Christ, they shouldn't be poor. They shouldn't be broke. They shouldn't be
No,
struggling.
we shouldn't.
It's
We want
not
to get
bad
to
to
a
have
place
money
where
in your wallet. So
our
that's what I'll
tithe is
say when it comes to
like
money.
The goal is to tithe by the grace of God in the 5 figures because we
Yes.
make so like
Amen.
God is gonna get like the church and everything our community. So we should push the
And I think it's
boundary.
something to be said of like I've and I won't go too long, but like I think in my journey, like we didn't get to all the nitty gritty stuff, but like I have gone through like just a journey of where my identity has been. It is not in my craft. I am not just a dancer. I'm not just an actor. I'm not just a singer. I'm not just an artist. I am a child of God, very first.
Amen.
And I have seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things will be added to it. That is my at always that's like my north. Like if I am a compass, that is always where I pointed myself to, because if I am trying to chase the money, if I'm trying to chase the praise of others, if I am trying to chase my own validation to feel like I'm worth something, and I'm not looking at God for that confirmation, then none of it matters. He says, store up your treasures in heaven. Don't store it up here. This is all good. I do believe that God wants us to thrive on this earth so that we can be people can see, we can be witnesses of his orchestration in our life and his work in our life. But we also know, I also have learned that I love this so much. There's freedom in this because the Spirit of the Lord is in it.
Amen. Amen.
Like, that's why I feel that. Like, I feel like we, as artists, and it's really important to note that I think it's in Ephesians, it talks about unity. If the arm is over here like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing what the leg is doing, so I'm not going to work, your body's not going to function perfectly. We are all different parts of this body of Christ. And when we walk in that with discernment and just our eyes on God always, then everything else will come. Like, I genuinely have chosen to believe, especially as I get ready to graduate, and I'm not gonna be a student anymore. I'm gonna be a regular person functioning in society. Like, I need to know that God is gonna be my teacher, God is gonna be my provider, God is gonna be my friend, and
Yeah.
all things will be added to it.
Yeah.
Amen. Thank
God
you,
bless you.
Amen.
Deanna.
God bless you.
Amen.
And I think that was really a beautiful way to just come to the end of this panel. We have shared so much nuggets of wisdom. I hope those that have been watching, you've been able to pick up you've been able to pick,
I was gonna
you've been
say,
able to pick.
I was gonna say,
I feel like Patrick has something to say.
no, I was gonna say if we're gonna have any final things to like if we're gonna go around, but it's okay.
We can
Oh,
do
like,
that. If anybody has, before we wrap up truly, if anybody has one quick thing to share the audience that they want them to take away, please share it now. And I think Patrick has something to say.
Yeah, let me just go first. I'm gonna be very short and sweet. This is a big recommendation, especially in our church. I think we should incorporate career fairs, monthly, even like every other month, career fairs of bringing in not only people in the church. Well, there's a lot of people that actually do things. It's not just us six of us that do things. There's a lot of people. You'll be very surprised of the people that do different things inside the church. So not even them, but also reaching out to different people in the industry to come in and talk to not just the youth, but also the parents. I think they don't want to hear from. They like hearing it from other people that have done it before.
Yes.
So bringing in those people will definitely go a long way in bridging the
Yeah.
gap. That will also help in retaining youth as well in the church. That's another reason why people are not staying in the church, because they don't trust their parents, because they told them to go into these jobs and go into these industries that they don't like to do. So why should they come back inside the church when they come back from college and
I
university?
couldn't agree. That's the best summary for everything that we've talked about, is to bring this kind of message into the church regularly. It shouldn't be one youth and pencil week. We have a small career session for about an hour for the whole year. And when we go back to our local churches, so I think we need to have these conversations frequent. And like you said, people are doing stuff, but we don't know because we don't create the avenues to speak. So career fairs in churches should be done because we need to show the younger ones what to do. Some of them have no idea what to do.
Clueless.
Don't
And
know.
diversity matters.
They just don't know, and they've never seen somebody do it or heard somebody talk about it. So the more and we are in their faces, we're going to inspire them. So please, I don't know if our leaders watch this. That's exactly what I want to say too. I want
I'll
to
just send
emphasize
it to all of them. Don't
it's
worry.
so important. I'm going to my church this Sunday. They've given me a chance to speak about college this Sunday. Thank God, after pushing. So, and then I'm going to go to Central, speak there about college and what parents should do about school, putting your child in the right school district, all that. So I've
Wow.
decided I made a PowerPoint presentation with numbers. I want to tell the churches for real. It's so important.
Wow.
And please, with the career
Um,
fairs and leaders. Ooh, Ovid, were you gonna say something? Are you sure?
go ahead,
Okay, with the
please.
career fairs, please, our leaders, please, please, please bring in diverse people. Bring the people that are doing the weird things, because our our theme for the Church of Pentecost is, possessing the nations. And I feel like this is something really big. We should be dominating this world as Christians in every single field,
Thank
in the
you.
churches, in the real estate, whatever, in the media, all that, art,
Basketball.
In
basketball, all
basketball.
things. Like, literally, we should be dominating the world. That is a way to possess the nation. Just
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
talking to a few friends. I have a friend that's majoring in architecture. I also know some people, obviously interior design. I know people that are doing like city planning. And I was just saying, imagine if we all come together and all these state buildings and all that, we're doing everything. She's the architecture. I'm the interior design. We have the technology people working out the wiring, doing all this stuff. Just imagine.
And you're good at
And
it. That's another thing. You're good at
girl,
like
just
that.
imagine how beautiful that is. And we
Yeah.
can find our ways through that to preach the word and bring people in to Christ. Because I feel like at the end of the day, the most important thing is God getting the glory. The Bible says
Amen.
to let our light shine so that
Mm.
others may see it and glorify our Father in heaven. And I feel like it's not only talking about giving and being a good person, but it's literally talking about like just doing things that draw other people to Christ, no
Yeah.
matter what it is, whether in your work field, like literally just doing things that draw people to Christ. So I guess that's my little ending statement is, please, let's bring in the people that are just doing the jobs and majors that we don't really know.
Non-traditional
Not, thank you. That's the word. Non-traditional things.
Mm-hmm.
job.
Just teach.
Um,
Amen.
Amen.
Go ahead,
Hallelujah.
Dr. Obed.
it's so funny that Yvonne just said that, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. That we should have that,
Hmm.
like
Confirmation.
we should take dominion of like everything that we do. Genesis 1:26, which is one of my favorite Bible verses ever. It says that God created us in His own image, that we may take dominion over, the fish. Meaning that everywhere God places us, He plants us there to bloom in order to bring him the glory. And there's a quote by Dr. Martin Luther King that I saw like a couple of days ago, and I just want to read it. It says that if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well.
That's
So
powerful.
yeah, so I think that like this is so important. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter the passion that God has given you, even if it's non-traditional. God can get glory.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that field, only if you're gonna do it with the enthusiasm, only if you're gonna do it with the zeal that God has placed in your heart.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And with just one last thing, just to summarize all this and make it easier for especially this church to understand, the church as a whole to understand. Just look at it as the body of Christ. or as us as the body of Christ, we all have different parts to play. And some people are the head, some people are the hands, some people are the feet, some people are the shoes, some people are the knees. If we're all the head, how can the rest of the body function?
Yeah.
So if we're all doing the same job, if we're all in the same industry, how
Mm-hmm.
how could the rest? How can the world come and see our body? How can we actually be the people that are equipping and possessing the nations? We have to use our talents, the talents that God gave us specifically. If you look at even Adam, God gave him specific talents and abilities to take over that garden and to maintain that garden. You could easily understand that he was somebody who was built. He was somebody who was wise. He was able to name different animals and things like that and natures, and he was able to keep up the garden until his fall. So that's one thing that we have to understand, that we all have a part to play, and it's okay to be different. It's okay to have different jobs. It's okay to be in different industries, but we all have a part to play. And at the end of the day, it's God's glory, not ours.
Amen.
This is the last thing I'll say, and then Eunice,
Go
Bessie.
ahead, Deanna. Go ahead.
And this is probably basically what's already been said, but like there are people who need Jesus in the arts. There are people who need Jesus in the hospitals. There are people who need Jesus in the schools. Basically, what we've all said, there are people who are just waiting to be shown light. And we, as pioneers, in a sense, because we're the ones doing unusual careers, you know, may we be bold to stand in those places and be light. If that means going against the grain, if that means saying no to this project that you just don't feel in your heart, that's not giving God glory. You turn the current. If more and more believers are put in this industries like arts, if more African believers, I'm sorry, I think someone's car is whatever, African believers are in the theaters. I mean, just think. I mean, not even Africans, more believers are in the theater. Think about the stories that are going to be told, and in another thing, a more trained believers, people
Yeah.
who are good at their jobs. Think about the people of this world that we're going to be reaching, because there are people in this world that are in such high places. But imagine if those people were believers. Imagine what the trickle down effect can be. Like there's so much power in this, and God can put you there. I believe
Amen.
it.
Yeah.
Amen.
And
I
I
do
love
Amen.
too.
I love how
Amen.
you brought up the whole like um movie thing and all that. Like just imagine if we had, because to think about it, how many American Christian movies are there that are shown on TV regularly?
Hmm.
How many books that are Christian based are talked about, regularly? Like these are things that people know. But when you go to the store, you'll see the cookbooks, you'll see the motivational, you'll
Fashion, and beauty.
fashion, you'll see like one or two Christian books. But just imagine if as Christians we were dominating in those areas where you walk into a store and the first thing you see is a poster about God. Or you walk into the mall or you walk into a school and the first thing you see, you turn on your TV, the first thing you see is a quote. Like imagine if Samsung TVs, when you first turned it on, instead of just seeing the Samsung logo, you saw a Bible quotation.
But think about it. Like that's why I'm emphasizing on the good part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's something to be said of something that's aesthetically pleasing, because that catches my eye. If I
Mm-hmm.
don't know God, if I'm just a regular person, I'm not a regular person. But if I am somebody who doesn't know God, I'm not a believer, I'm gonna be drawn to something that looks nice.
Mm-hmm.
We all know the cheesy Christian movies that are on there that are just bad. Like it's a good message, but they're
Yeah.
bad. It's bad acting. It's bad screenwriting. Bad film. It's bad. Like I'm not gonna sit down and watch that, even as a believer. Like there's something to be said of being trained in these
Yeah.
things, using it for good. That's what I.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts?
Eunice, what do you think? Just to end it.
Okay, I'll give you my last thoughts, everyone.
Oh,
Eunice, how
So,
much money?
so really, when it comes to the whole conversation of career, for those who are watching, I will say be open. be open to what God can take you. Be open to the path that He can lead you on, especially since youth and Pensa, most of us are still young, still early in our career. So literally the story is still being written. So be open. And when you have realized that you have a particular passion in your heart, go for it. Oftentimes when you're trying to identify your purpose, your passion, think to what keeps you up at night. What makes you like itch, like, I have to go and solve this issue. That will be connected to your purpose, your why for being on this earth. And every single person here on this earth has that why. So I do urge you to go seek that why and start thinking and become very self-aware of who you are as an individual. What is keeping you up at night? For me, I am in a unique industry of technology and art and home decor. I'm
Mm,
working for a tech consulting company where I am solving um, business problems through technology. And in the same token, I am working with artists. I'm selling their art. We're selling home decor crafted in Africa. And I am finding ways of how can I merge this two. And so I'm still at the beginning of my career, but what I am really doing as I just, follow God and keep my heart and ears open to Him is, okay, God, I have been able to identify these passions, and what I have is all I need, really. God would do the rest. And so just give it on to Him. So the conversation of purpose, career, passion can be so extensive. So what I have shared is what I am following when it comes to what God has put me here on this earth. And I know that a lot of the nuggets that have been shared with you all, these are wisdom nuggets. These are gold. It's only up to you now, those that are watching, to apply what you have heard. So I hope this has been a blessing to you as it has been a blessing to me. I want to thank all our panelists, Yvonne, Dr. Obed, Dr. Janet, Patrick, Deanna. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for making the time to speak about this topic and share your experience and thoughts to this generation. So that said, that is the YP podcast. I hope you all have enjoyed watching and hearing this podcast.